Hello and welcome to Platypus Scotsman. This is a Necron terrain piece that my friend of mine asked if I would do something along these lines, Brian. But anyway, before we get started into this, if you want to see pictures of the terrain pieces and different things that we do, or I do, you can hop over to Platypus Scotsman on Instagram and check them out there. And you'll see more things like this. Anyway, let's get into this. So what I've done is I have some pieces downstairs I'm not going to use anymore, so I just cut some pieces off them. I'm going to use a Proxon. I do have jigs, but I'm just going to try and do as much of it with just what it comes with, just so someone doesn't have to go out and buy a jig. And I do have marks in them that I have to be careful of so I don't get into them. Right now what I want to do is I just want to cut a simple block. Kind of want to do it square, so let me see how wide this is. So I'm just using this as my gauge to get the width of what I want it to be. So I can just cut it and then find the flattest side, which that's not it. And that's it. So turn this bad boy on. Make sure this is straight up and down. And just kind of hold this so it doesn't shimmy down. Go fast enough that it doesn't really bend your wire, but also don't go slow enough that you create a little heat spot to where it not wrinkles, but melts the melts the foam. All right, got my square piece. I just want to get rid of this section up here. It's kind of bowed right there. I need to cut the back off too. So I'm gonna cut the back off to bottom it out, flatten it out. I didn't take into consideration I need to get rid of this piece too, but I think after I trim it off, it'll get rid of that piece. And then I want to get rid of this here. All right. What I've noticed with a lot of Necron terrain is that there's a lot of angles. There's really nothing round or smooth. It's a lot of angles. So I'm just going to kind of figure out how I want to do this. I'm probably going to draw some things on here. So after thinking about it, I'm not going to draw on it. I'm just shifted my line over a little bit, and I'm just going to, if I had a flat, long piece right here, it'd be a lot better. But like I said, I'm just going to try and do it without it. I do have a jig downstairs that I can do that with. So I'm going to turn this on and just be really careful and run this through. Make sure I press down on the bottom to keep it flat as well. So there I have that. That's kind of going to be my basis for it. Now what I want to do is I want to straighten this back up. I already have a line marked on here, so I don't have to kind of screw with it every time. This is 220 grit sandpaper, and what I want to do is I just want to lightly smooth out the sides before I start cutting more. Just use the advantage now that it's all one block. Now that I have it sanded all down, I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it in half again. So just going to not burn my fingers and run this through, and hopefully it works. All right, so now we have the 4 pieces. So now I have a 3" by 3" block for the base, and I want to do the same angle as I did these to trim the sides on this. So I move my wire, just give me the same angle roughly. All it has to be is close. Like I said, go fast enough to where you don't have those heat divots, so you don't have issues, but go slow enough that you don't kill your wire. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm just making some 1/4" ticks on the edges, right here. And then I'm going to draw lines on my foam, not too far, just enough to have it so I have guides to where I want to put the pieces, more so in the corners. I kind of want to avoid putting a line in the middle because I don't want to deal with it. So I put it on the edges. Whoops, did I do a tick on these sides? Oh yeah, right there. So now I have where my pieces go, like so. And just to make sure this is where I want them. Yeah, that works. So now I'm going to use some Alina's Turbo Tacky Glue. And maybe, it's been a while since I've worked with foam, so hopefully this glue is still good. I like this stuff because it dries a lot quicker than Elmer's or PVA. I just want to press it down well enough to where it starts to come out on the sides, but I don't want to press it down too much or use too much pressure on my pieces that I dent them with my fingers, my big man hands. Oh crap, I moved all these all over. Note to self, don't do that. I've angled the wire again. I'm just going to trim the bottom of this one off. Now what I'm doing, I'm just cutting some decorative pieces for it. I'm going to need 12 pieces because I want 3 on each side. That's the other thing too, is don't try to not work in even numbers when it comes to stuff like this. Just do, you can do odd numbers, it just looks better. Especially in nature. Or paintings or things like that. On this one I'm going to try to be a little bit more tricky and see if I can do it some freehand, but I'm just going to try to cut a gouge out of this. Kind of got that action going on. And I'm going to sand it out, see if I can make it look nice. I roughly got the shape I wanted. I'm only going to need 4 pieces, so I'm not really concerned about how well it looks as far as each piece, because they're not going to be next to each other. Now I want to cut the thickness of them. I need to make sure I pop this top piece off so it doesn't get burned. I'm going to start gluing the decorative pieces on, and I want it just on the inside right here. Actually, I'm going to put the glue on this. Maybe. And I want it touching the bottom. And that's just an easy way to make sure I get it all aligned anyway, if they're all touching the bottom. There's piece number 1. I'm going to come over to this side right here and just kind of rotate around so I don't touch that as it's drying and screw it up. On these I don't want a lot of glue, but I want to make sure the glue is on the entire piece as I put it down. And I'm just putting them on the inside. And I'm eyeballing it. If it looks good, eyeballing it, I'm fine with that. All right, for the next pieces, I'm kind of making a little jig. It's a 1/16, well, it's not really a jig, it's just a spacer, but it's a 1/16 sheet styrene. I'm gonna get it close. I'm just gonna attach it first, get it close, and then use the styrene to space it out the way I want it. So it'll be good there. Just gonna stick the styrene down the middle, like so. Push all the way to the bottom, press it down, make sure it's snug, and then pull the styrene out. All right, this is kind of how I'm going to do it. Just glue those in on the inside, make sure I have the right piece on the right side. Just make sure, like before, just cover the whole piece. Make sure there's not a lot of glue so it really doesn't seep out. When you do it, just kind of support the top so you don't snap your piece off when you're applying pressure. And then just barely put it on the inside, gently put pressure on it. And kind of have it on the inside. And then I just look here to see if it's level with the other ones. It's not, so I just push up a little bit more. And there you go. What I want to do now is I want to make some decorative pieces for here. Not well decorative, just to make so this isn't flat and boring. Okay, I kind of want to match the angle of this piece right here on the edge. Yeah, it's close. All right, now I'm just gonna make my pieces. And I do need 8. I did count correctly this time. But I will make more just in case. All right, let's start gluing them on. I want to have glue just pretty much as I can, especially close to the edges. I want it lined up with this piece right here, kind of in the middle. Like I said, I'm just going to eyeball it. Then do the next one, make sure it's lined up correctly before I attempt to glue it on, because I have done that before. Okay, this next part is just pretty straightforward. I'm just painting it black. I'll be painting this whole thing, and that's pretty much it. And then we'll go from there, and then we'll do green highlight. This isn't, if I had more detail, I'd think about it, but this is in my personal opinion, just a quick tutorial. I'm just using some cheap paint, watered it down a little bit so I can try to hide the brush strokes, not breast strokes. That's swimming. I might do 2 coats just because there's a little bit pink below it, but other than that, and I have a long bristle brush so I can get in between here. This is forest green. I'm going to dry brush it onto this. Dry brushing is just getting paint on your brush and removing most of it off onto a, oh man, onto a cloth. Thank you. All right, I'm liking how this turns out. This is turning out. I kind of want this to be a speed type thing anyway, so it's working out. When I do this green too on this one, I kind of want to bleed into the black a little bit more than I'm going to on the next color, just to kind of make more of the black have that green tint to it, so it's just not all on the edge, if that makes any sense. Just so it kind of looks like a black green color, I guess. Here's a way to put it. Anyway, I don't want to sit here and bore you with doing this the entire time, so I will do all this color and then I will get back to you later. Now I'm going to dry brush some white, and I want to make sure I get as much paint off as I can. And I want to go light, and I only want to hit the edges right here. Just like so. Don't want to go very far. And I want to use a smaller brush so I have more control. Not very much, just a little bit here and there. Well, as far as, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go crazy. And this is just to give it a light coat, because I'm going to go with a green. But I want the white underneath to make it pop more. This is moot green. This is what I'm going to finish the dry brushing up with. Just going to hit over the white and then bleed into a little bit more of just the corners and edges and stuff. But make sure I cover the white. That way it kind of gives that bright. And it's not, and because I have the white underneath, it doesn't give it, I don't have to go over it with a yellow. And it'll just look like the green is glowing more. Kind of see it start taking shape. Just hit that, Make sure you cover the white with the green. And then you can go a little bit further too, just so it fades more. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pretty straightforward build, nothing overly complex to it. You could add more detail if you want, like chipboard and things like that, or even cardstock to give it a little bit more detail. I don't want to go overboard with it because it was meant just to be a fairly quick one. Quick if you have a Proxa, obviously, but I don't know how you would do it otherwise, just because there's so many straight edges with this. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, or give a thumbs up if you like the video. And hopefully this earned your sub. If not, maybe next time. Maybe I'll do a video that it'll earn your sub in the future. But also too, you can do me a really big favor and share the video and spread the word to help the channel grow. It does help the growth of the channel. Another thing too is I'm going to release these videos on Patreon first, probably at least a week. I don't know, but it'll be on there first before it hits YouTube. But it will go on YouTube at some point, but I want to give the patrons a sneak peek to it. Well, that's pretty much a wrap on this. Hope everything is going well in your hobbies and that you're spending time with your loved ones and your friends. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them below. Oh, also too, we do have Instagram, like I mentioned before, Facebook group, Platypus Scotsman Lounge, and things like that. So if you want to join those, you're more than welcome to, and I'll do things there. But I don't know where this is going. Well, you have a wonderful evening, and remember what my mother used to always say, that anyone can do art. Ciao. See ya. How many times can I twirl this in my hand as I'm talking? The channel, hit the notification bell so you get.
Are you recording?
Yeah. It's all right.